the amazing Moab, Utah, where we have our new to us Land Rover Discovery. And what are we doing, Dad?
Well, we're going to figure out if this is the new affordable off-roader.
That's right. So these are kind of unloved by the off-road community. Everybody loves the older ones, the older Discoveries, the LR3 and the LR4. And then with the Discovery 5, they kind of shaped it and bulbous it all out. And people don't like these nearly as much as the older ones, but we're going to find out if that dislike translates to off-road capability.
Well, here's a secret, Tommy. Did you know that it's pretty much a Defender underneath?
Sorta, kinda. So it's a very similar architecture to the legendary Defender 110 and also the 90 and the 130. All kind of share the same suspension geometry. And getting this thing on the lift, you'd be amazed at how similar it is because, of course, Land Rover is a relatively small company, so sharing that platform engineering makes a lot of sense.
You know, because of Land Rover's questionable reputation for reliability, these early Discoveries have become quite affordable. So how much do we pay for this guy?
So this is a 2018 Discovery 5 HSE. It's got 85,000 miles. It's a one-owner car, and we paid $22,000 for this car. And when you consider that a new Defender is going to be 80, 90, 100 grand plus, a new Discovery also $70,000 or $80,000. And they look pretty much the same, a 2025 to this 2018. It could be a great value, but even that compared to like a 4Runner or a used Wrangler from 2018, these are pretty darn cheap.
Well, there's two reasons that we bought this. Number one, this is the hero color. In other words, the color that the vehicle was launched in 2017. There's just something super fun about taking a vehicle that costs almost $70,000 and just kind of flogging it around the dirt and knowing that the vehicle could handle it, and that if you get stuck, you'll be okay because you've got all this technology to help you get unstuck. As we lose the last bit of light, I have to say that I'm very impressed by this car's off-road creds. Chances are, if you're a buyer of this car, if you spend, let's say, $64,000 for this model, you're probably not going to take it off-road. But you know what? You should, because with air suspension, with terrain management, and with all the off-road goodies that this car offers, it is actually really good off-road. And secondly, why don't you pop the hood and show them what's under the hood, because I have a soft spot for what's under the hood of this. Now, a lot of these have either supercharged or turbocharged 6 cylinders, but these early ones came with a unique option.
So this is a 3-liter V6 turbo diesel. It's actually the same engine that you could get for a while there in the F-150 diesel. Keep in mind, for a long time, Ford and Land Rover were under the same umbrella, right? 255 horsepower, but a lot more torque.
443, I believe, Tommy.
It's pretty cool. It's made into an 8-speed automatic. And then this Land Rover does have a lot of what you'd expect to find in a true off-roader. It's got a low-range transfer case. It's got off-road modes. It's got skid plates. It's got recovery points hidden underneath this bulbous exterior of plastic and bits. Should be a genuine off-road vehicle. So we're going to see if we can expose that out on the trail.
Now, we bought this with 85,000 miles, which for diesel is not, horrible, but we did do one change. What did we change on it?
So it has a set of 20-inch wheels. So we bought this car with 21s and street tires. And this is actually a 20-inch wheel from a Range Rover that we used to own. And it's wrapped in a Falcon all-terrain tire. So this is the Wild Peak, I always forget the name, AT Trail. So it's not like an AT4W. It's not a crazy all-terrain, but it is much more aggressive than what came on this car. Now, 20 inches was as small as we could go on our old Range Rover, but you can get up to 18s to fit on this Discovery. So maybe in the future, we'll go even smaller. And we did air these down.
Yeah, we made one change and one change only, and that is to air them down. And as you can see by this one, what makes the Disco a potentially good off-roader is it has air suspension that lifts it up to, 11.5 inches of ground clearance. And then Land Rover has designed relatively good approach and departure angles. I like to say, anytime you can see under the butt of the car, like right here, you can see the full-size spare tire, which is also good for off-roading. You know that the departure angle is pretty good, but this trail, pins and things, will test its breakover, its approach departure, and of course, its four-wheel drive system.
I'm a little concerned about some stuff though.
Yeah, tell me.
Plastic, plastic, plastic. So if we do hit the limit of departure angle or approach angle, it may not be looking quite as shiny on the way out as it does on the way in. And Blaze is very interested. This is our dog Blaze, by the way, in the full-size spare in the Discovery. Blaze is going to be joining us on the trail. He's actually on this little sticker. Check this out.
Yeah, this is Tommy's wife made these Blazy TFL stickers, and we put them on all of our fleet cars because, well, we love Blazy and we want to proudly display his image. Now, Tommy, let's do one other thing before we hit the trail, and that is talk about why these are not very popular among people. Because let's face it, back in 2016, they actually sold more LR4s than they sold in 2018 Disco 5s. And the reason for that, I think I'm pointing to right now, it's kind of bulbous.
Yeah, the whole design philosophy just got totally lost. You had this weird asymmetric thing that at one point was for a spare tire. On an LR3, LR4, it cut its way into the glass, so you had this really interesting design. And here it's just totally 100% pointless. And then, of course, in the older Discoveries, you had Alpine windows, which are completely missing on this one. You had a big kick up on the older ones. Here's just like this little vestigial hump. And then the front end is where they really lost the plot. The LR3 and LR4s were just squared off and butch looking. And this looks like, I don't know, a more affordable car trying to masquerade as a Range Rover. Like, it's just not an attractive design. And that's really where the Defender came in, is the Defender really replaced the Discovery design, which is why the Defender outsells these things like 5 to 1.
Well, your lovely wife gave it the ultimate insult, I have to say. And
yeah, she called it that. So my wife actually drives my LR3. She absolutely adores it. And I put her in this. I'm like, this is the successor to our car. And she said, it doesn't look like it at all. And I'm like, it is. She's like, this would be a really good mom car.
Ouch!
So that tells you everything you need to know about the look of the Discovery 5.
But look, you know, you can get one of these now for like $20,000.
Sure.
And that, of course, has to do with people not trusting its reliability. But underneath, I'm hoping, is still a pretty competent off-roader. Probably not as competent as that Jeep over there, but nevertheless worthy of a trail like Fins and Things. So I think it's time we find out.
Let's hit it.
All right, Blaze, get in the car. Come on, Blaze.
Come on, over here.
Come on, jump in.
One of the things we are not utilizing is you can actually lower the suspension.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, we love Blaze too. She liked Blazy more than the car, Tommy.
Complimenting the dog, not the car. One of the cool things we could do with this is lower the air suspension, help Blazy get in. But then we got to put it right back up again. So I'm going to do something very unsuitable there.
Yes, you grabbed him by
the booty. But you can see Blaze likes it back there.
Yeah, for the most part, he's a good car dog. I bought this thing, which is kind of this really clever idea of keeping the dog fur inside this protective little, I'm going to call it a Land Rover condom back seat.
There you go. So Blaze is, he's got his little canopy here, and he's ready to hit the trail.
All right, let's do it. All right, Tommy. Here we go. Blazy, what do you think? I'll put some windows for you so you don't overheat. Oh, they're already open. That's good. So what I love about Land Rovers off-road is that they did pioneer their terrain management system. Long before Jeep did it, long before Toyota did it, Land Rover was the first. And even if you don't have front and rear lockers, which we don't, we only have a center locker, the system kind of compensates for that. And we'll find out just how well it does when we go up One Tree Hill.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it's important not to discount 20 years of off-road four-wheel drive programming. And it is just amazing what the Land Rover engineers are able to accomplish with what seems like fairly standard hardware. But it's down to like the fine details. I've got the TFL slip test, which is my off-road traction control test, and whenever we put Land Rovers on there, even ones that are 10, 15, or 20 years old, like my LR3, they're just fast and immediate, and they seem to do anything you want them to do. So even though this thing kind of looks like a suppository, it should still have that off-road programming that they've become legendary for.
Oh, we're a little off kilter here. A little butt clenchy, my man. I think we lifted a wheel there for sure.
Yeah, I think we scraped the front end actually there.
Yeah, scraped a little bit. And that's the thing about, independent suspension, right? As opposed to solid axles. You do tend to lift wheels a lot more.
Well, what we also find too
Very lazy.
And this is the part of the Discovery 5 that's been a little shocking to me, is like in my older Land Rover, my LR3.
Yes.
When you jack it up into the off-road height, it still has enough down travel to maintain wheel travel up and down. It can still provide a decent amount of suspension articulation. But this thing really feels like it's on its tippy toes, and it feels incredibly firm and unwilling to kind of work with the ground and the terrain. Now, as you proved there when we lifted up a tire, it doesn't really matter that much because the four-wheel drive system is so fast to react to tires in the air, but it does make it a little bit uncomfy when you start picking up really any kind of speed.
You know, I completely agree. And I remember when I went on the launch, and I forget what it was. It was one of the later vehicles. Maybe it was the Range Rover. They said they actually gave it a second set of airbags above the bottom set so that you would have that compliance.
And still have the height ability.
And still have the height ability. But I think that by airing down the tire, you kind of, or tires, you're kind of making up for that. And initially when we were off-roading this, we didn't have it aired down, and it was rough, a lot of head bob. But now that the tires are aired down, it's not that bad, Tommy, especially if you don't go fast.
It's pretty bad. I mean, if you go, if you hold it at 2 miles an hour,
yes,
it's fine. But it genuinely feels like 80% of the compression of the suspension is coming from the tire, and 20% is coming from the actual suspension.
What's they're saying? As slow as possible, as fast as necessary.
Well, and if you don't want to end up with a spinal injury, you have to go as slow as humanly possible.
Well, this is not a Baja burner, you know. This is in rock crawl mode, and it's meant to do just what we're doing, and that's why you go very slowly.
That is the one part I am not at all impressed with, is the ride quality.
All right, now we're coming up to the frame bender.
Yeah, let me get the drone positioned here. Yep.
Okay. Am I lined up for it?
Yep, it looks good. Just a little driver.
Okay. And this should test
clearance.
Well, it's breakover angle.
Yep.
But so far, these tires are doing a good job. Are I about to go over? I guess I am.
There you go.
Oh, I think Blaze went over too there. Sorry, Blazy. Oh!
Let's see if we scrape the tail here. You ready? Nice and slow. You're about to go over.
Okay. We have no hitch, which helps.
We got a lot of plastic.
Oh, we hit the plastic.
There you go.
We scraped the plastic. Love to see what we did.
That was kind of to be expected over that obstacle.
You know what we probably scraped? I mean, the spare tires back there, right?
That's true, yeah, and it hangs pretty low.
Yeah, and then the dual exhaust are back there.
But yeah, we cleared that actually relatively drama-free, which was good. I mean, look, there are some really cool things about this particular Discovery.
Well, the torque is incredible.
Yeah, so let's talk about this diesel. In low range, it's got an unbelievably smooth transition from no movement to acceleration. Is what I'm trying to say.
The throttle tip-in is perfect.
It is really good, yeah.
Yeah, and look, let me show you. I'll show you what I mean. So right now, I'm on the brake, and it just starts gently rolling. And then if I apply just a little bit of throttle, I have ultimate control, and that is a really great feeling off-road.
Yeah, so I think, you know, the combination of what they've done with the torque converter, the transmission, and then the programming, especially the throttle programming and rock crawl, is excellent. And you get kind of a cool diesel clatter. It really is not a very refined sound. I'm kind of surprised that people went for this back in 2018, because it does sound a little like a Mack truck.
I love that, Tommy.
Which is cool, yeah. I think that's very neat.
And in the UK, and I shouldn't say all, you correct me, you UKers, but most Range Rovers and Land Rovers were diesels, right? Because diesel was taxed, or is taxed, less than gasoline, than petrol, should I say. And there's something about diesel and Land Rovers / Range Rovers that goes together like peanut butter and jelly. The torque is incredible, and get this, on the drive here, Tommy, what kind of fuel economy were we getting?
We got like 24, 25. Yeah. It was pretty good. It's for a large, what can be a 3-row or 2-row SUV.
And it's got an over 22-gallon tank, so it gives you an effective range of over 500 miles an hour. I mean, 500 miles of range without having to fill up, which is pretty cool. Okay, now we're coming up to One Tree Hill, and the danger here is that you hit this hole that's on your passenger right side with the front tire, and then it pushes the car into the tree. So I'm just going to slowly climb it up. And this is also where the diesel isn't grand, because it weighs more.
Yeah, it is a pretty heavy vehicle. I mean, we're looking at close to 5,900 pounds.
Well, this can be, ours isn't, but it can be a 7-passenger.
So we're going to start dropping up that right front tire into the hole.
And now let's see how the system handles it.
Yep, just stay on it.
Look at that.
Yeah, really, really good.
Didn't even flinch, Tommy. Did not even flinch.
Yeah, that was awesome. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, is where like other vehicles kind of do this pulsating thing when it tries to distribute torque. The Land Rover, it almost has a bird's eye view. It's what it feels like as to what's happening, and it just does the right things at any time.
Or worse yet, it just starts to spin tire and then it just slides down the hill into the tree.
Yes, that's really bad. But you can see, so this vehicle does not have the off-road package with the locking rear diff, and even with the open disc front and back, you really don't need it. The kind of terrain you're going to be bringing this thing into does not warrant a locking rear diff, especially considering just how darn good the system is.
Yeah, so you know, I wanted three things. I wanted this color, I wanted the diesel, and I wanted the off-road package, which gives you the locking rear diff, and they're as rare as hen's teeth. So I had to settle for 2 out of 3.
We're here for Easter Jeep Week,
Yeah.
which is when about 100. This guy's coming up.
Okay.
I'm gonna back up a little.
Yeah, I'll let him come up.
Oh, he wants you to come.
Okay.
This is when about 100,000 Jeepers descend onto Moab, Utah at one time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Discovery 5s. I don't think I've seen a single one since I've been here.
Not a lot of Discoveries 1s, 2s, LR3s, or LR4s.
That's true. It is Jeep Week. But you still see like a ton of Tacomas and 4Runners.
Yes,
and I haven't
true.
seen a single Discovery
that's why
5.
that's why we're piloting this as the next, you know, affordable off-roader, Tommy. Remember when we did the Tiguan?
No,
No,
God.
sorry, Touareg.
Yeah.
Remember when we did the Touareg?
Yes, I do.
We were the first to figure that was out, that was a kind of an unheralded off-roader, and now we're here with the Disco 5.
So I think the other thing we have to talk about with the Disco 5
Yeah.
is the reliability, right? Because that's what all the comments are going to be, is that it's cheap because they're unreliable. Now here's the thing about Discovery reliability. 1s and 2s, especially 2s, are very garbage. 3s are excellent. 4s had some pretty big timing chain woes. And 5s are actually holding up surprisingly well. So from the research I've done, there are a couple things and a lot of electrical quirks that can happen with Discovery 5s, but for the most part, from the owners we've talked to, people have been incredibly impressed with the longevity of these vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, now we're at 86,000 miles, which is, you know, not an insignificant amount, but we did, you know, not break our cardinal rule, which is buy one that hopefully was well maintained and loved, and I feel one-owner cars tend to be that. We had the Carfax on it, so it did seem to have a good service record, and I think in general, Ford wouldn't have put a diesel into their F-150 if it wasn't reliable. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments about the Ford F-150 diesel. I know.
Yeah,
But hey, I'll tell you one thing. Better than the, at the time, FCA, dare I say, Ram diesel that was, you know, recalled and written up for emissions issues.
yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah, eco diesels.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would get the diesel.
Okay, fair enough.
Something about owning a DEF, DPF, emissions era diesel out of warranty seems incredibly terrifying.
So there is this issue, maybe not an issue, but there is a replacement cost that's very significant. It's a diesel timing belt. It's 7 years or 115,000 miles, and we're 7 years. $4,000, Tommy.
Yeah, for sure.
We're flying by now.
So that's that's another thing. What the hell are these manufacturers doing putting timing belts on diesel engines? Isn't the whole point of a diesel engine is that it's an incredibly robust technology that should need very infrequent maintenance? And they're putting a timing belt on a diesel engine? A lot of other companies are doing this too, and it's just like bewildering to me.
Well, are we sure it's a timing belt? Not
It's a timing belt
Not a
on
chain?
diesels. No, the supercharged V6 is a chain. This is a belt.
Okay, and I've read that it has to be an engine out process. That's why it's so expensive.
Which is crazy. And then of course you have like the emission service, which I think we were reading is 100,000 miles.
It's coming up.
Right? So these are big services that are to be expected, you know, the emissions one, especially with any modern diesel. But apart from that, which is just one of those costs you have to eat, really few suspension issues on Discovery 5s, really few transmission issues or driveline issues. They seem to be pretty sorted. The only other problem with these things, the technology in this car works fine. Actually, it doesn't work fine. It should work fine, but
Oh wait, yours.
it is so slow and clunky to respond to your inputs on the
Oh,
screen.
you mean the screen? Yeah,
Yeah.
The screen is pretty ancient.
It's like I don't think, if I remember right, when we were testing these new, they didn't work super fast when they were new, and they haven't gotten any faster. I'll put it to you that way.
And it did surprise me when I hooked up CarPlay and it worked, but then it turned off all the speakers on everything.
Exactly right.
And I had to pull the battery to get it to reboot.
Exactly right.
So there are issues, Tommy.
Yeah, there are.
But yet I still love it.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay,
Yeah.
I still love it. I love the color, and actually, I think I'm one of the few people who likes the design.
Yes, that's a hot take right there.
Yeah, that is a hot take. People think it's a little too bulbous and a little too off center with that license plate holder, but I like the design. I think it's modern and sleek, and certainly resembles the rest of the Land Rover / Range Rover range.
But why would you get this over an LR4?
Because the LR4 is frumpy.
That is the wrong take.
That is the right take.
LR4s are by far the best looking of the modern Discoveries. They are squared off. That is universally agreed. People love LR4s.
I think the interior is frumpy. It feels old manny, whereas this feels more modern and more current.
Okay, yeah. The interior's nicer on this, but everything else design-wise is worse. I just like, between the design and the ride quality, I just don't know if I can recommend to you buy this thing then.
You mean off-road? This is not so bad, Tommy. What are you complaining about? There's not a lot of head bob. I've been in a lot
We're on
worse.
sand. Of course it's gonna be fine.
Even going over that slick rock, it wasn't horrible.
Because we were doing two.
I would say that out of all the vehicles I've taken off-road, one being as smooth as butter, and 10 being you're ready to jump out of the thing because your head is bobbing so much it's giving you a massive migraine. This is a 5. It's okay. It's not great. It's not horrible.
The ride quality in this is one step above a wheelbarrow. That's where I'm at with the ride quality. The 4-wheel drive is amazing. The clearance is great. The diesel works great, but the ride quality is Radio Flyer wagon levels here.
Oh, you're a grumpy old man, Tommy.
It's just
grumpy
true.
Old man.
The suspension doesn't suspend the vehicle. It's encased in the vehicle. It's made out of concrete.
That's why you got to air down.
Yeah. That's the other thing too. These Falcon tires, actually, even though we're on a huge tire, we're on a 20-inch wheel right now.
They're doing really well.
They're doing pretty good.
Yeah, lots of grip. No, I have no issues with it. All right, now we're about to go down the ass scratcher, and we shall see just how much we scratch our ass, huh?
I'm excited. Let's see what the
or dig our nose in.
approach or departure is like.
Exactly. All right.
Here we go. We got the scratcher. So this is a crazy steep hill. It's gonna be a great test of approach and departure. You can see we got the suspension and the off-road height. It's all jacked up.
This is where we always bring Moab sand back to Boulder.
It's pretty funny seeing this thing off-road because you never expect it to be off-road, but yet the approach and departure angles are shockingly good.
But you expect it to be at the local grade school picking up kids?
That's exactly right. Well, let's see if they're good enough. So here comes the tail.
Oh,
it is not going to be good enough. Okay, slow. Slow. Yep, keep going. Okay, there you go.
Just a kiss, Tommy. Just a kiss.
Yeah, not too bad. So let's see the damage report. Just some scrapes underneath the faux exhaust tip. There, you can see it there. All right. Oh yeah, and more over there on the little back panel. So could be worse.
So Tommy, the question: should we try the wall or not?
Well, I think this thing has been doing so well that, and we've seen that it has a ton of clearance. It might be worth trying the wall and seeing what happens. I think it's proved itself to be very capable off-road, even though it looks like a jelly bean. And if it doesn't do the wall, that's fine. It's not really built to go rock crawling to that extent that Jeep trails are built for. But if it does, great. We've proven that Discoveries can hold their own.
Hell yeah, we gotta do the wall. We haven't come all the way to Moab to not do the wall. I mean, if people are actually gonna be buying these, like, I'm hoping for their next budget off-roader, then they gotta know that it can do the wall.
All right, let's try it.
What if we do a lot of damage to it?
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's not gonna be cheap. We break stuff.
You said it's a cheap off-roader, so it can't be expensive to fix.
Well,
That's part of being a cheap off-roader.
Well, the problem is it's a cheap off-roader to buy, but it's not a cheap off-roader to fix. There is the crux of the problem,
There's
Tommy.
the issue, exactly right.
But now that we promised the wall, we gotta do the wall. All right, let's head to the wall.
All right, here comes the wall. Blaze is in position, he's sitting down. Let's see if the good old Rover can do it. I'm mildly optimistic. I'm less hopeful now. It's a pretty steep hill. I don't know if it looks steep on camera, but that's kind of the real deal. There you go, there's that four-wheel drive system working. That diesel's grunting away. Turbo noises. So we are aired down to about 20
Go a little
PSI.
farther,
Farther right.
passenger.
Okay. Here we go. Take 2 up the wall. Come on, Land Rover. Let's see what you got. Come on, buddy.
All right, try it one more time. This time a little far. Put the left wheel right here. One more time.
Lock this thing into first gear. Here we go.
You're so close, Tommy.
Go.
There you go.
It's like, where's the torque? Do something. What the heck?
Is it not doing anything?
No, it's like cutting all power.
Can
I
you-
said such nice things about you.
Can you turn traction off?
Oh,
Oh, you're high centered now.
yeah.
All right, just back it down.
Okay. Gave it a valiant effort, but that was the first time I felt a Land Rover four-wheel drive system do that. Come on, slow.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was all full brake there and not having it. So, yeah, not so impressive.
Well, that was disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it really felt like it was only giving me half the torque. And for a Blazy, and for a diesel engine, it should have been delivering more of that. So that's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
I mean, what it did was it cut the torque just as you were about to go over the top of the wall.
And
it was really weird.
I was keeping my foot in it, keeping my pedal, and then it was like, no. So that was not too good.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we got to drive that home, right? And I don't want Andre having to come and tow us out of here, especially since he's at the New York Auto Show.
Yeah, for sure. So we found that it's okay on mild stuff. It'd be a good overlander, but for more hardcore stuff, maybe look at some of the older Land Rovers.
I mean, yeah, you could get it up and over that, but you'll have to use momentum. And when you use momentum, you know what happens?
People, tune in. It looks better on camera.
Nathan knows what happens. Well, guys, thanks for watching. As always, where should you go, Tommy?
alltfl.com. We got more videos for you over there.
We're coming, Blazy. See you guys next time. Ciao.